Thank you, Paul. And we should be bringing Mike Cobb any second from the SCCA, and we're going to do 3 back-to-back series sessions with you, Paul. So Michael is with us. Let's carry on as soon as Michael is on. Perfect. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Fanner?
I'm good. Like your background.
I thought you would, sir. I built a custom one just for you.
Oh, that's fantastic. A little brilliant Paul Leggett cover art from Sports Car. Fantastic.
Absolutely. I love his illustration style, and obviously I'm a little biased, but it looks fabulous on the cover of Sports Car, sir.
Yes, it does.
There you go. I love it.
I'm going to hold it in front of me. So it does, there it is. Yep, it looks great.
That looks great.
Well, good to see you and catch up here.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, I'm pretty humbled, to be on the EPARTRADE panel, period. But to follow Mr. H, I'm just like, I feel I am not worthy to be in this time slot. But so I'll try my best not to let anybody down. But man, oh man, I could listen to him all day. He's got so many great stories.
Yeah, and as Chip Ganassi is fond of saying, I like winners, and he is absolutely a winner. So is Jeff Hammond.
I started my day with Mr. Ganassi this morning. Yes, sir.
Yes. But I like winners too. And you've been winning with the SCCA since we met.
Well, thank you.
And you know, I've been fortunate to work with a number of SCCA presidents during the, let's see, since 1977, when I first started work with the SCCA directly. And
right.
You had the unenviable task of guiding this company, your company, through the pandemic, and getting to watch you, work what was a heroic mission to do that really earned my respect, Mike, and your teams did a fabulous job of coping with an impossible situation. And here we are on the other side of the pandemic, and this was an epic year for the club.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about 2023. You got to the future, which was job one in 2020.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 23 has been a good year. It's been from a membership standpoint, we're in a really good place. We've got over 50,000 full-time members as we close 23. We've had about 20,000 weekend members join the ranks as well. So membership side the heartbeat is strong in the club. So that is a great place to start. We've had, goodness gracious, over the last several months, we had 5 or 6 SCCA championships, starting with the 50th running of the Tire Rack Solo Nationals in Lincoln, where we had over 1,500 crazed cone dodging enthusiasts on 100 acres of Lincoln sublime concrete, one of the few places in North America where you can find 100 acres of concrete to do solo events on. So really appreciate the city of Lincoln and the air park there inviting us back. It was a big event. We actually got to induct 7 of our Golden Circle. Believe it or not, Paul, there's 7 folks in the SCCA have been to all 50 solo national events. So we got to celebrate them along with all the other folks who made it up there. We had 1,500 folks across 7 days of racing, starting with the pro finale and then the Tire Rack National Championships, solo national championships as well. Blessed with 7 great days of Nebraska weather. So man, that was a great way to start championship season. Headed into, as you know, that's a sprint uphill for us starting first week of September. Then we ran into ran to VIR for the SCCA National Championship runoffs. Good news for us this year is we didn't have to contend with a hurricane. So that was a big plus right out of the gate. As you know, there's very few road courses that are as beautiful as VIR, as Mr. Newman used to call it, heaven on earth. Great racing there. In fact, we had one of I don't know if this is the first time in the history, it's the first time since I've been here, but we actually had we had 20, I think we crowned 23 champions at the runoffs, but we actually crowned 24 because believe it or not, in Spec Miata, one of the most highly competitive classes in SCCA road racing, we actually had a dead heat at the end of the sprint race. Nicholas Bruni and Preston Pardis actually tied for the top spot on the podium. I mean, it was talk about crazy. I've never seen something like that after, duking it out that whole session to end up in a tie. It was phenomenal. So actually crowned 24 champions this year at the runoffs. And that was fabulous. Had our time trials nationals event at NCM, and that was a fabulous event as well. USRM and just the whole bookend of championships for us in 23 have been absolutely executed by the rank and file in a top-notch fashion, and pretty much blessed with great weather for all the events. So I think that's, as we kind of lead into 24, that's a great way to build some momentum as we roll into 24. One of the things I was watching you and John yesterday, John Doonan from IMSA, and he mentioned the worker program that we're working together on. And I've got a few more thoughts on this in a second, but one of the highlights of 23 was, as you know, we now have 3 FIA F1 championships in North America, most recent being the debut of the Vegas event. And Paul, we had over 450 SCCA marshals at that event. And over 100 of those had just gone through our learning management system flagging communications module, which is, our online training portal. And so they got their certification to basically go out there and support, an F1 world championship. And so we're going to continue that partnership as we roll in IMSA and SCCA, as we roll into 24 and do some even bigger things with IMSA and some other pro partners around the table. So I think it's been a good year, a very busy year. Of course, we still executed almost 2,000 events across 115 plus regions, and so we've been busy.
Yes, you have, and I think what you touched on here about the SCCA volunteers who make it all go. Basically, they power American racing, and having been an SCCA volunteer myself and served at a number of levels of incompetently served at a number of levels as a volunteer.
I resemble that remark, sir.
Yes, but it's really how I entered the sport and how I met everyone that would lead to my life in the sport. And
right.
I think that in an era of community, SCCA is one of the core communities in motorsport. And I think that when I go down the list of things you're doing, I think what you've created is a number of communities that power the core of something. Obviously, the worker base is one.
Right.
One thing that you touched on at the beginning here was you had 7 people who had been entered and competed in every solo nationals.
That's crazy.
That's a sure sign of addictive behavior to me.
Well, I think several of them.
Yes, I do.
And not the least of which is Mr. Rocky Intrican. Yes, he's definitely addicted to the sport of SCCA solo.
Thank God he is, because he's powered our coverage for
yes.
But I wanted to come back to this. What do you think it is that brings people into the club and makes them stay? Because it's been my life, and as you know, many of our staff are SCCA members or lifelong involvement in SCCA. But what's your take on what makes people?
Yeah, it's a great,
once they get involved with our club.
Great question. I mean, I think I'm going to steal a line I heard from Chris Stewart from Grid Life as I was listening to him yesterday, and he was talking about, hey, at the end of the day, what is it that Grid Life provides to folks? They're on a tremendous growth curve right now, and what my takeaway from his comments was really around, we provide community, right? And you think about the Grid Life community, and it's very vibrant, it's very robust. And to answer your question, I think that's something that SCCA historically has been pretty good at, is building community. inviting people to become engaged, giving them the best experience we can. And then, the old adage, I came for the car and stayed for the people, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who, you're one of them, Rocky, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of folks who bleed SCCA and who are the power behind all of those national championships that I mentioned. Certainly power a lot of the pro events in North America as well. And I think, to borrow that line from Chris, I think what we're really focusing on to really continue to grow the club is not only the community, but the experience that we can deliver to volunteers, drivers, workers, anybody and everybody that we can kind of bring into the family and get exposed to the SCCA. Because, what I truly believe is if we can provide you a good experience in a welcoming environment, and if it's something that accesses your passion zone, like, motorsports, right? Then if we can connect, then I think we can keep those folks in the family, not a year or two, but like you just said, over 40 or 50 years. And so that's really what we're striving to do. And, at the end of the day, it's hitting a lot of singles to get around the bases. And that's how we win championships. And it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of sweat equity involved, but I think that's what keeps bringing people back. Is at the core is the access, the community, and the relationships that stand the test of time.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I will say that when I walk the paddock of a race anywhere in the world, I've run into people I've met at SCCA events in my younger days, or as I've grown up in the SCCA, which I did. And they when you stand back and look at it, the club has been the origin source for, I think, kind of enthusiast performance culture for almost 80 years in North America. And on the international stage, many of the people in top leadership and stewarding have come from our club. So, as the world is changing, you're going into 24 with some exciting new programs. Let's talk about those.
Absolutely.
And some of the changes are obviously going to involve your content and media strategy, but we'll get to that later. But talk about, you've been talking about focusing on experience as long as I've known you. Tell me what the experience of the SCCA is going to be like going forward, and how are you going to, bring forward these new programs this coming year?
No, that's a great setup. I mean, I think one of the things, if I left Grid Life with the keyword of community, a keyword that I would like to live with any of our listeners is the concept of access. I mean, that's really our job. We are I like to think that we strive to be the premier grassroots enthusiast point of access for motorsports in North America. I mean, that's really our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Is to be that access point for folks and to provide an experience that is easy for them to access, where we can deliver on a great experience and get them fully baptized by submersion in that experience, so that they come back and participate in multiple programs with us and stay the test of time. One of the things that we're doing with a great partner to really help create more access is the Spec MX-5 program with Mazda that debuted at the runoffs, most recently at VIR, and that will be a national championship runoff class beginning in 24. So really excited to work with Mazda Motorsports using the platform that oftentimes is seen as the, if I may, the bastard child of the Miata clan, the NC platform. I can say that because I own one and I love my boat, lovingly called the boat, the NC platform. But working with Josh Smith and the Mazda Motorsports team to really ramp that up. That's an accessible platform. It's the specifications in terms of modification are a little bit simpler than maybe some of the other road racing cars and classes and stuff like that. So we think that's a pretty good formula to get more people engaged, and we're excited to partner with Mazda to really make that happen across 24. So that's a big push for us. Under that same banner, in terms of providing greater access, you probably heard about the club spec concept. which is really designed, the thought was, I will screw this up. Mr. Wagner won't be happy with me, but it was like, what if we created, would it be possible to have a couple of cars where you could do all the SCCA things with them, right?
Yeah.
Meaning you can do autocross, you can do solo, you can do time trials, you can do track days, you can do road rally. If you're brave enough, you could even try rallycross in one of these, right? We landed on, based on a lot of research and a lot of survey feedback from the family, from the SCCA membership team, we came down to the S197 Mustang platform and the Mazda Miata NC platform. So we're working on rule sets for both of those. We're going to try to make it as simple as possible so that they don't require a ton of modifications, make it something that maybe even someone with the lack of mechanical aptitude like Mike has, make it a car that maybe Mike could modify in his garage and go take to and do all the SCCA things. So really excited about that. And continuing on kind of the worker volunteer piece, one thing that I'm really excited about is kind of taking our current FNC training module to the next level. We're going to partner with IMSA. Hope I don't get in trouble with John for sharing this, but we're working to partner with IMSA and John Doonan and his team to kind of develop an IMSA certification module inside our flagging and communications training piece that really allows you, just like we have kind of ladder series inside racing, where it's almost creating a ladder series inside of the volunteer and worker training piece, if you will, so that you become, for example, I have my regional FNC license. I can then grow into getting my divisional and my national license. And one day very soon, I'll be able to take my IMSA certification so that I can go stand on the corner of turn 5 at the Rolex 24 and be fully certified to work and support IMSA programs going forward. So, to your point earlier, access means a lot of different things to a lot of different people based on where they are in the motorsports continuum, right? I mean, some folks like to access motorsports by being a volunteer. Some like to access it by being behind the wheel. Our goal is to serve as many of those enthusiasts as possible to get them in the family and get them in motorsports in general.
That's a great goal. And I think that one of the things I think people who have not experienced the SCCA may not realize is that you go to an event like the runoffs or the solo nationals, and it's fun beyond the racetrack. There's a community, there's a culture there that is just downright fun, and you're with people that are kind of going the same direction you are in life. They love cars, they love being around people who love competition, and it's pure. And there's just a joy to it that I can't find in many other places. And with the changes to society and overall culture going forward, how do you communicate that to younger audiences and younger potential members? What programs do you currently have in place that are attractive?
Yeah, I think one of the programs that we've seen a lot of growth in is our Women on Track initiative. As you know, that started out primarily focused on the solo side of things, and that family has grown significantly and has expanded to multiple SCCA programs, including road racing, including our volunteer efforts. Certainly is strong in the solo community and has expanded to the time trials community and even the club racing community. So, that is another definition of access, if you will, in terms of providing ladies who are interested in getting involved in motorsports. Sometimes it is the hurdle is a little bit high because it has been historically dominated by men, and allowing that community to build where you've got women leading the next generation of women coming into motorsports, it has just worked out to be fabulous. You kind of have this mentorship piece going on inside the club that is attracting women inside the club to be more engaged And it's also attracting women who are currently not engaged in the club to come in because they find a home for them where they can grow and learn. And so that's one of the outreach initiatives that's worked out really, really well. I'm really proud of that team and what they've done. And I think there's a lot more room for that to grow in the near future as well.
That's great. And, I can share firsthand that most of the people that mentored me early on were women in leadership positions in the SCCA. And first off, they saw how hapless I was and gave me things to do that I learned. I learned about the club. I learned about the people. I learned about the structure because they were in charge and they were organized. And
Right.
And then when I started to race, I learned about racing because my very first race, I got solidly beat by a female driver who was considerably better at what it took to drive a racing car than I was. And
that's right. I'm a proud member of that club as well, Mr.
Yes,
Finn.
and I think that one of the things I like about this club and about the environment is that our club has had nationally competitive, top-level competitive women for decades.
Absolutely.
And perhaps some of the women that changed motorsport came from our club.
Absolutely.
Some of them long before the current kind of dynamic revolution of female racers in motorsports. Thankfully, the SCCA membership is diverse in other ways, but this it's now an older program, but it's still relatively new in terms of the idea is Track Night in America. I want to touch back on that. We've talked about it previously, but for people who are not familiar with it, just give the headlines about what that does and what the reasoning was behind it.
Yeah, no, that might be the ultimate case study for what happens when you lower the barrier of entry and provide greater access to folks, right? So that was really the core of the idea was, what if we allowed people, what if we created a product and a service and an experience where folks could bring their daily drive perspective, right? And so that's grown. Track Night just had its 10-year anniversary. And it's grown to now where we have probably around 150 events per annum and around 10,000 plus going through that experience every 12 months. And we see folks coming in to the Track Night in America program, again, because of the ease of entry and sampling kind of that experience. And then we see them going on into solo. We see them going on into enduro. We see them going on into club racing. We see them going into track events and time trials. Or we have folks who just are habitual track nighters, and we don't mind that either. We've got folks who run 5-10 track nights a year, and that's how they choose to execute their passion for motorsports, right? That's their access point. So that's been a great program in terms of really kind of attracting a little bit different profile to the SCCA, giving them some exposure, giving them a taste of motorsports. And then once they kind of once the bug bites them, then kind of taking them into other areas inside the SCCA and outside the club too. So that's been a phenomenal program for us and continues to be strong.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody who did that because it impressed me in concept, and anything that opens the door to motorsport for audiences that may have not considered formal engagement with our club is a great thing in my mind. And
absolutely.
And speaking of formal engagements, our formal engagement that's run 40 years is just about out. So as well as the time for this session. But I want to thank you, Mike, for being a great partner to our company.
Absolutely. And Paul, I don't know if I have, do I have 60 seconds left?
Yes.
Because I do want to do something that's a little off script, if I may. And that is this right here. Paul, do you know who Wolf Bernardo is?
Yes, I do.
Well, for Judy and Francisco, the Wolf Bernardo Award in the SCCA is our highest honor. And it's presented annually to the member who's made the most outstanding long-term contribution to the club. And the recipient in 2023 is none other than Paul Frederick Fanner of SCCA's Cow Club region, because Paul has been spreading the SCCA gospel as a member, as a publisher, as a CEO, as a motorsports enthusiast for over 40 years. The amount of visibility, enthusiasm, exposure, and expertise that he's contributed to this club over that time period is just phenomenal. This is not new news to Paul. Unfortunately, I got beaten to the punch on this, but I didn't want to lose this platform, this opportunity to commemorate you, Paul, and all the many, many contributions you've made to the SCCA, not only as the CEO of Racer Media and Marketing and the publisher of Sports Car, but as a mentor for me and previous generations of many members inside the club. So congratulations, sir. It's quite an honor, and you certainly deserve it.
Thank you, Mike.
Deserving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
You
Great
bet.
pleasure to have you on.
very
A
much.
great honor. So
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.